Joy News understands 3 officials from FIFA arrived in Ghana last night and are expected to meet with officials of the Sports Ministry later today. Today's meeting will discuss recent developments within Ghana football and will focus on government's decision to trigger the legal processes to dissolve the GFA following Anas Aremeyaw Anas's investigative documentary that captured many FA officials accepting gifts. Ahead of the meeting, Chairman of Parliament's Youth and Sports Committee, Alex Ejokum, says he expects FIFA to ban Ghana.
Parliament wanted to come in per Article 119 or so of the Constitution that mandates us to go into any particular issue of national interest. But since we decided on that, I think that same day there was the announcement of the dissolution of the FA, and subsequently other issues have come in that renders the path that Parliament wanted to pursue some kind of unnecessary. And so I think that Mr. Speaker, in his own wisdom, decided also to allow the executive take certain action before maybe we will look at it and see where we come in. And I believe that.
You think that's a good decision? Isn't it okay that investigations run parallel? We've seen that police are investigating, judiciary is investigating.
No, we don't want the idea to be like we're trying to usurp the functions of the constitutionally mandated agencies that are supposed to carry out investigations. No, that's not the case. But Parliament, I think the sense I gather, wanted a firm grasp of the issues involved. And on that same Thursday night, we had the dissolution of the FA and other things happened. And so that's why I'm saying that the whole thing was truncated by later development.
Meanwhile, the GFA has responded to Attorney General Gloria Kufu's petition to the High Court for the official winding up of the association. George Adu Jr. and Hans Mensah Ando are here with details. George, it's quite a bulky document you have there before you. Yeah. But basically, what are lawyers of the GFA saying?
I think I'll rather go straight to some of the key points they've noted in this. Like for 6, he says that say that the respondent is registered as a company limited by guarantee. The respondent denies paragraph 7. Of course, we haven't seen what's in there, but it gives us an idea of where it's going. Paragraph 7 of the petition and says in answer thereto that it is not all of the respondent's duties which are discharged in the public interests. Respondent's main focus insofar as its duties are concerned being its members. Now this is a critical point which will give us a basis for the discussion. Now looking at what the Ghana Football Association was expecting government to do in terms of resolving all of this, you get to 40 and it says, respondent says in further answer to paragraph 27 of the petition that taking cue from FIFA's approach, it would have been a proper, fair and a candid exercise of the petitioner's power under section 4, section 2C of Act 180 to have concluded investigations into the allegations made against Mr. Nyantichi before commencing the instant proceedings and not to assume the allegations made by journalists based on self-serving prejudicial presentation of his supposed investigations as having attained the status of a judicial finding which should accordingly be executed without due process.
No, interesting.
A very interesting one. Now listen to this one, 4.6. Respondent says in answer to paragraph 11 of the petition that at no point in time has the respondent's subscribers, directors or officers operated the respondent for illegal purposes. The fact that some of the respondent subscribers or directors or officers are alleged to have acted illegally is not evidence that the respondent's incorporation was for the purpose of the acts alleged to have been engaged in by them, or even that they acted a respondent benefit. I think this is in direct
response to Gloria Kufuor's assertion that the GFA was being used for illegal purposes. Okay. And that's a direct response to that.
So we can start with at least the first one, which is bordering on what the Ghana Football Association say they are mandated to do. They think that there's no issue about public interest. They think it's all about the Ghana Football Association, and so they don't even see how they've affected the public, because a lot of what Gloria Kufuor said was much more in the public interest.
And Hans has more details on that, with the issue of the public interest and what the lawyers are saying.
So they maintain that the FA essentially is a private entity formed by individuals with the aim of promoting the sport among themselves and the public at large. They further state that the association is not run with public funds, and that the only use of public funds has to do with the national teams, which is owned by the nation and not the GFA. So essentially, they are making the argument that the FA is a private entity, and that the nation has entrusted the national team to them to run it on its behalf. So the entire 16-page response is what is captured in this particular.
And so they are asking the court to dismiss.
Yeah, and hold it. There is one final one. Final one. Now, they go on to say that on claims that the public has an interest in football, the lawyers for the FA contend that it amounts simply to emotional attachment and does not grant anyone a legal right to determine what a private entity does a GFA does.
I'm just wondering how football lovers will respond to this, because this argument that people are just getting emotional, we need to focus on the legalities of it.
Yeah, because the truth is that they may be right in a bit, because FIFA has an agreement. There's an agreement FIFA has with the federations and the government that is transparent, and the governments are supposed to relate to the Ghana Football Association in a certain manner which FIFA agrees. So if you put that away and you think about the Ghana Football Association saying it's a private entity and doing things that do not directly affect the public, you're beginning to have an interesting one here. Because when you look at the point you were making the first one about how confusing it was, because even from the government position, they seem to point out that they are a private entity. And so they're saying that if we're a private entity and we don't necessarily come and take your public funds, how do you come and assess and tell us that we have gone wrong, or there's corruption here, or there's corruption here? The key point is public at large, public interest. But this is all nowhere found. You can't find it anywhere, when we come down to the laws and what's going on here. So the Ghana Football Association think that, look, we are under FIFA. Even our relationship with you government has been clearly spelled out. So you cannot come in and do any of what you're doing. First, we even talk about some of their monies that they've stated in one of those. The money that they've stated that even goes into, some of their money goes into consolidated fund and is not accounted for. So they don't even understand why government should be coming into this.
And lawyers of the GFA also argue that the Attorney General cannot use number 12 as a basis to start a process of liquidation. And that's an argument that's also been propounded by other analysts.
Fundamentally, I mean, he probably may be right, because we've been made to understand that everything contained in that documentary is an allegation for now. Okay. It has to be interrogated. The facts have to be established, and then whether or not they are going to dispute it, we'll know from then on, and then we can, because I was a bit confused when this whole process began. If we are made to understand that what is contained in the documentary is an allegation at that point, how then did the Attorney General secure an injunction with the contents of that documentary being evidence, being the main case that he used to push for that injunction in the first place? So that was a bit confusing. I'm not surprised that the lawyers of the FA have actually, hammered on that point.
So basically, all the points you see in that 17-page statement or response to the High Court petition is asking the High Court to dismiss the petition by the Attorney General seeking liquidation of the GFA. Now we have the PRO of the Sports Ministry, Elvis Ejeba, on the phone. Good morning, sir. Thanks for your time.
Good morning.
Now, there are a lot of issues happening with the GFA as it is now. First off, can you confirm if the meeting with the 3 FIFA officials is going to happen today?
Yes, good morning, and good morning to your listeners. Yes, the meeting will be coming on this afternoon.
Okay, this afternoon, you say. Can you share with us exactly what you hope to achieve with that from that meeting?
Well, basically, you are aware of what we are currently facing in the country with regards to football activities. They're kind of rot and malpractices that bedeviled the FA following their analysis. And it's prudent that government takes the necessary interventions to ensure that needed reforms are restored into football. And going forward, we can have the confidence and the belief that we are enjoying our football without all the distractions that you all have been complaining about. So it is part of the reforms, it's part of the measures that have been put in place, and in all this, government has recognized the importance of FIFA in this process, and it is out of this that we are meeting today to judge our dialogue and see the way forward for Ghana football.
So, Mr. Jeba, what exactly caused the confusion with regards to your meeting today? Earlier yesterday, we received a statement that the meeting wasn't going to happen. Now you're confirming that indeed it will happen.
Well, basically, government had thought that it was going to, because already I indicated that there are a lot of consultation that's going on with the football stakeholders. Government is not going to, as it were, take everything on itself, because, you know, government doesn't have the expertise to manage football, and it is not in the intention of government to manage football, because we are not in the position to. But then, because of the circumstance that we find ourselves, it's very important that government bring out interventions, and the intervention should or must be in consultation with major stakeholders. So we were of the opinion, or we were thinking that so these processes are complete. We thought that FIFA should give us some time so that we can complete all this process of consultation. But now they are here, and we cannot. FIFA has delegated these 3 gentlemen to, as it were, help Ghana resolve the issue. And government is of the same belief that the involvement of FIFA is very paramount, and it's for that reason that last night when they arrived, we had to ensure that they are okay in the country, and that definitely today the meeting will be coming.
Will we have former GFA executives at this meeting?
My dear, as we speak, I don't know the composition of government delegation that will be meeting the FIFA delegates or delegation that is in the country.
All right, thank you very much for your time. That's PR of the Sports Ministry, Elvis Ejeba, confirming that indeed there will be a meeting between FIFA officials and Ghana Sports Ministry. As it stands, he cannot tell us if there will be any former GFA executive. So, gentlemen, let's just wrap up quickly.
Real quick,
with,
there's an important, response as provided by the lawyers for the Ghana Football Association. Very important. They seek to disassociate Mr. Kwesi Nyantakyi from the Ghana Football Association. Now, they stated in 66 that respondent says in answer to that part of paragraph 20 of the petition headed money laundering that no payment made to any company related to respondent was used for any illegal payment or money laundering, and as pleaded earlier, Mr. Nyantakyi is not synonymous with respondent. That's the Ghana Football Association, well, so that's very important.
All right, okay, so let's talk about this 10-day injunction that the Attorney General secured from the High Court. It ends today. Do we know what's happening next?
We just have to hold on. I think so many things are happening. We have to find out what government's next step is, but it's very critical in what they're going to do about this. I'm just wondering where they're going to be possible. Of course, we have to wait. It's today, and we still got some time on that one.
All right. Okay. But thank you very much for coming through, gentlemen. George Adu Jr., Hans Mensah Ando with Joy Sports. That'll be all for this. We'll be back with Tech Talk. Do stay.